Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to share some stories with you. These are a collection of really unsettling true accounts about what happens when the lights go out. We'll be telling you about mysterious encounters people have had during power outages, or, when they're totally isolated. These come from real experiences people have shared. We want to explore these chilling narratives, see what they tell us about vulnerability, the unknown, and just how quickly our sense of safety can be, shattered.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating, I think, is how something totally normal, like, say, a storm or just being home alone, can suddenly become genuinely terrifying when the power grid fails.
Yeah, the predictability we rely on just vanishes.
Exactly. It strips away that layer of modern comfort,
Yeah.
Makes everything feel more primal.
Okay, so our first story really dives right into that feeling. Picture this. It's a cozy, rainy night, maybe 8:00 p.m. You got a hot coffee, you're settling in for a movie. Sounds pretty good, right?
Perfect night in.
Totally. But then, the phone rings. It's a local number, but you don't recognize it. So you answer. There's just silence. Nothing on the other end. But you can definitely hear background noise. You can hear the rain, the storm outside, clear as day.
Okay, so someone's there.
Right. Someone is there, listening, but not talking. Incredibly weird. You hang up, obviously. What do you make of that, just that initial contact?
Well, that's the first little crack in the comfort, isn't it? It's subtle. It creates that sense of unease before anything physical even happens. It's like they're reaching into your safe space from a distance.
Yeah, like a psychological probe or something.
Kind of. It establishes that something's off.
And it definitely escalates. About an hour passes, you're into your movie, and the storm outside just kicks up a notch. Big time. Thunder, lightning, the rain gets heavier. Then the TV and lights flicker. Then flash back on for a split second. Yeah. You pause the movie wondering what's going on, and maybe less than 30 seconds later, boom, power goes out completely. The whole house is silent, except for the storm, which now sounds like twice as loud. The only light you have is a small candle.
Right, and that immediate darkness just amplifies everything. The storm, it sounds much more menacing.
Totally. So you light the candle, trying to save your phone battery, right? And you head downstairs to check the breaker box. You find the main switch is loose, but flipping it back and forth does nothing. It's completely dead.
So it's not just your house.
Seems like it. You go back upstairs, realizing there's not much else to do but just watch the storm. And that's when you look out and see the entire street is dark. It's a bigger outage. So you're standing there for, maybe 15 minutes, just watching, listening, and then, completely out of nowhere, you hear it. It's the sound of your backyard gate swinging open.
Oh.
Yeah. It doesn't have a lock.
Yeah.
But it never just swings open on its own like that, ever. You walk to the back door, look out, and even through the darkness and the rain, you see the shadow of a man. He's just standing there, motionless, in the middle of your backyard. Just came from the side where the gate was. A dark figure, not moving.
Wow. Okay. That shift from just a weird phone call to a physical presence, it's a huge escalation. The fear becomes very real, very concrete.
Oh, yeah. And this is where it gets even weirder. He just stands there for like a full minute, doesn't move. Then really slowly, his arm lifts up from his pocket, and you see a little glowing light in his hand, like a phone screen.
Okay.
And just then, your phone rings. In the other room, you hear it. It's the same number from an hour ago.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, the realization just hits you like ice. The man outside, he was calling you. He'd been out there in the storm the whole time.
That's incredibly calculated.
Freaked out, totally freaked out. You rush into the living room, grab your phone. Yep, same number. You don't answer. You go back to the door. And he's gone.
Just vanished.
Vanished. Which is almost worse, right? You wish you'd kept watching him. Now you don't know where he is.
That's the terrifying part. The audacity of it. The silent call, waiting in the storm, maybe even hoping for the power outage. It's just a deliberate plan just to terrorize. It's not about confrontation. It's about psychological violation.
Yeah.
Making you feel unsafe in your own home.
Exactly. And it's not over. You're standing there trying to figure out what to do. Should you call the police? What do you even say? Then, not long after, maybe a few minutes, your phone rings again. Same number. Makes you jump, even though you're kind of expecting it. You decline the call.
Oh.
And literally seconds later, bam, bam, bam. Loud, aggressive knocking starts on the front door.
Oh, wow.
Like heavy hits, shaking the walls. And the phone rings again while the pounding is happening. You just freeze, hands shaking, you dial 911. The operator says an officer is about 4 minutes away. And for that entire 4 minutes, the pounding on the door just continues, nonstop.
4 minutes feels like an eternity in that situation.
Absolutely. Finally, the operator says the officer's on your street. Moments later, you hear someone yelling outside. You run to the window. and you just catch sight of the officer chasing this guy off into the storm.
So they actually saw him.
They saw him. They chased him. But he got away. The police took it seriously, did a full investigation, but the phone number? Dead end. Untraceable burner, probably.
Yeah.
The person who shared this story, they said they still haven't shaken off the horror of that night. It feels like something out of a movie,
Hey.
which makes the reality of it even more terrifying.
It really does highlight how that safe, familiar space can become a trap. The calculated steps, the call, the waiting, the power issue, the aggressive approach, it's all meant to maximize fear.
Yeah.
And the lack of resolution. That just lets the fear linger.
Leaves you wondering forever.
Exactly. It erodes that fundamental sense of security.
Okay, so from that kind of psychological torment in a regular home setting, let's shift gears a bit. This next story involves a violation of safety, but focuses on younger people. It involves a middle schooler. He's feeling pretty grown up because his parents are away on a road trip. He's got the house to himself, having his best friend Finn over for a sleepover.
Right, that classic scenario, a taste of independence, maybe feeling a bit invincible like kids do.
Definitely. Which makes what happens next even more jarring, I think.
It sets up a contrast, yeah. That illusion of control is about to be shattered.
And the unease actually starts pretty early on. His parents leave Saturday morning. He's excited, waiting for Finn, opened the front windows to watch for him. While he's looking out, he notices a man outside. Now, normally, whatever, but this guy is weirdly close to the house, like past the sidewalk near the garage.
Too close for comfort.
Yeah. And he gets a distinct look at him. Tall, skinny, kind of longish, dark hair, patchy beard. Makes him feel uneasy, so he backs away from the window, doesn't want the guy to see him looking. Checks again a few minutes later, quick peek, and the man's gone. He kind of brushes it off, doesn't mention it.
That initial sighting, it's so easy to dismiss, isn't it? Rationalize it away, but looking back, it's often the first sign. Pre-attack surveillance, maybe.
Exactly. So the day goes on. Finn arrives around 6 p.m. They grab snacks, head to the room, and basically just play Xbox for like 5 hours straight. Typical kids. It's around 11:30 p.m. They're still gaming. Finn gets up to use the bathroom. He's gone maybe 30 seconds. He comes back into the room and asks, "Did you hear that?"
How?
But before the first kid can even answer, poof, the entire house goes dark. TV, Xbox, lights, everything. Total blackout. He says he couldn't even see Finn standing like 5 feet away in the doorway. Finds his phone, flicks on the flashlight. They're both just quiet, confused, listening.
Listening for what Finn heard.
Yeah. Eventually he asks Finn again, "What did you hear?" Finn isn't sure. Maybe a thump or a footstep from downstairs. With the power out now, they kind of assume it's connected, but they're still spooked, alone in the dark house.
And this power cut feels different from the swarm one. It sounds much more targeted, just their house.
That becomes very clear later, yes.
Yeah.
So they decide they have to investigate. They head downstairs. As they leave the room, they notice it's windy outside, but nothing crazy. They wonder if that caused it. They know the electrical box is in the basement. They're nervous about messing with it, but Finn thinks he might be able to figure it out. So they head for the basement door. And this is weird.
Sure.
The door, which they hardly ever use, is already open, just slightly ajar.
Oh, that's not good.
Not good at all. The basement is unfinished, just storage, dark and creepy anyway. They use their phone flashlights. Finn leads the way down these creaky wooden stairs. Pitch black. They find the electrical box. The panel door is partly open, and they see the main switch, the big one. It's the only one flipped off. Looks like it. After a moment, Finn flips it back on. Immediately, they hear appliances upstairs whirring back to life, beeping sounds. But the basement lights, they stay off. The basement is still completely dark.
Interesting. So whoever flipped the switch maybe also tampered with the basement circuit? Or just didn't turn that one back on? It isolates the basement.
It seems that way. And this is where it gets terrifying. They turn to head back upstairs and suddenly hear this shuffling sound from the other side of the basement. Both freeze. He shines his phone light over there. And someone is standing there in the dark. Yeah. He can see the shade outlined in the flashlight beam. Tall, skinny, long, dark hair. It's the same guy. The guy from outside earlier that day. He's sort of standing behind some boxes, face in shadow. They can't tell if he's looking right at them.
Oh my God.
They don't wait. They turn and just book it. Sprint up the stairs, Finn right behind. He slams the basement door shut. And they run straight out the front door of the house, dialing 911 as they go.
Smart move. Get out. Get help.
Absolutely. They get across the street, still on the phone with 911, and that's when I look back and realize every other house on the street has its lights on.
Confirmed. It was targeted. He deliberately cut their power.
deliberately. While they're still on the phone, they see a figure move past a downstairs window. Then, maybe 15 seconds later, past an upstairs window. Maybe the parents' room.
He's moving through the house now.
Seems like it. Police arrive quickly, thankfully. They search the house, but he's gone. Looks like he escaped through a back window. Of course, the parents come home immediately. Lots of questions, police reports, but nothing ever comes of it. They never find the guy. The family ended up moving out later. Just couldn't stay there, Left wondering how long that guy had been watching them, what he really wanted. Breaking in, cutting the power, hiding in the basement. It's deeply disturbing.
It really is. The premeditation is chilling. Citing him earlier, the specific power cut, hiding. It feels almost theatrical in its intent to terrorize. You have to wonder about the psychology. Was it just about the fear shattering their security, or was there another goal that, thankfully, they interrupted by running?
And the fact they were kids alone adds another layer of horror.
Definitely a profound violation.
Okay, so we've seen how homes, even familiar ones, can become terrifying. Now let's take it to the extreme. Total isolation. Our last story tonight comes from deep in the Montana wilderness. An off-grid cabin. Someone bought it specifically for solitude, to really get away from everything.
That kind of isolation changes the game completely. Your vulnerability is magnified massively. No neighbors, no quick help. Every little unknown thing feels bigger.
For sure. So the owner arrives. It's about 7 p.m., long drive. Sets up the wood stove for heat, fills the gas generator, which powers, everything else. Lights, any outlets. Gets settled in. The next day, day 2 of his trip, something a little strange happens. In the middle of the day, he notices an old truck driving down the dirt trail towards his cabin. He can see it coming through the trees, but when it gets closer, it just stops. Sits there for maybe 5 minutes, then turns around and drives away. He doesn't think too much of it at the time. Figures maybe they just took a wrong turn, realized it was a private drive.
That rationalization again, the normalcy bias. We try to fit unusual things into ordinary explanations until we can't anymore.
Exactly. And the can't anymore part comes that night. It's about 10 p.m. He decides to enjoy the wilderness, starts a little campfire out on the front porch.
Yeah.
He's only been out there maybe 5-10 minutes. When the outdoor porch light suddenly shuts off, he looks back at the cabin. All the lights inside are off too. The only light is the faint glow from the wood stove inside.
In the generator.
He realizes it's quiet. The noisy generator isn't running anymore. Annoyed, thinking it's broken down, he goes around back to check it. Sure enough, it's off. He tries cranking it a few times. Nothing. 10 good tries, still nothing. He figures, okay, old generator, maybe it finally died. But then he checks the gas tank.
Let me guess.
Completely empty. And he knows he filled it with a whole canister just the night before. There's almost no way it burned through all that gas so fast.
Not unless it was winning something huge, which it wasn't.
Right. He checks the ground around it, under it. No wet patch, no smell of spilled gas, no sign of a leak anywhere. It's just empty. A total mystery. And now, no power.
That's not accidental. Draining the generator, no leak. That's deliberate sabotage. Cutting off his light, his power, maybe even communication if you relied on it. Plunging him into total darkness and helplessness out there.
Yeah, it feels calculated. Still, he tries to rationalize. Okay, no power. But he has the wood stove for heat. He was going to bed soon anyway. Not the end of the world. He goes back to the porch, sits down, tries to just relax, enjoy the night air. But it only takes a few seconds before he notices something. Out in the woods. Something that looks like a person among the trees off to the right of the dirt trail.
Oh boy.
It's dark, it's still. He stares at it, trying to figure out, is that just a weird bush? Or is it actually someone? He watches it for a few minutes. It doesn't move. He kind of gives up, thinking maybe it is just the bush. But a minute later, he glances back over there. And he can't find it anymore. It's gone.
And a bush wouldn't move.
Exactly. That's what he thinks. He searches the tree line, but nothing. He admits that put him seriously on edge. Goosebumps. A bush should still be there.
That's the shift. From maybe odd to definitely wrong. Curiosity turns into unease, the strong feeling of being watched. In that kind of isolation, something disappearing is almost scarier than seeing it.
Totally. He says he didn't take his eyes off the forest for the next half hour. The quiet out there suddenly feels eerie. He knows he's not alone now. He feels watched. That, plus the generator thing. He knows something's very wrong. Then, it's probably close to midnight now. He hears a sudden sound off to his left, like a stick snapping or falling in the woods. He whips his head around, stares into the darkness that way, waiting, listening. Sees nothing. After maybe 30 seconds, he looks back towards the front where he first saw the figure, and his heart just about stops. The figure is back. standing in the same spot.
Oh, man.
But it's not just one. He sees another one next to it, and another, and another. He scans the tree line. There are maybe a dozen figures, standing completely motionless, silent between the trees, about 100 yards away.
All of them facing the cabin.
A dozen,
Yeah.
silent, just watching. That's terrifying. The isolation just amplifies that. The coordinated presence, the silence, it defies any normal explanation. It taps right into that primal fear of the unknown, of being observed by something you don't understand. His body just goes into flight mode. He scrambles inside the cabin, slams the door, pulls down the blinds, heart pounding. He waits a minute, debates looking out again, gathers his courage, creeps to a window, peeks through a tiny sliver. They're all gone. The forest looks empty again.
Vanished again. That's almost worse. Where did they go?
He doesn't have time to think about it, because only moments later, he hears footsteps approaching the back of the cabin. He thinks he can clearly hear maybe 4 or 5 sets of footsteps crunching on the ground, maybe more. He listens, frozen, as they slowly walk around the side of the cabin. They seem to stay together, not like they're surrounding it, but moving as a group. They walk up onto the front porch. He hears their boots thudding on the wood right outside his door.
Right outside. Silent group.
He holds his breath, genuinely thinks this is it. Whatever's happening, it's happening now. And the creepiest part, they're completely silent. No talking, no whispering, just the sound of their footsteps. But they move together, coordinated, like they know exactly what they're doing.
The silence is key. It's unnatural for a group. It suggests intention, control. Something deeply unsettling. What were they trying to do? Just being there, watching. It's pure psychological warfare.
He stands there, paralyzed, just waiting, knowing they're right on the other side of that door. Maybe waiting for him to make a move. He waits maybe 10 minutes. It feels like forever. Finally, he thinks, screw it. He has to know. He quietly creeps over to the window again, pulls the blind just a tiny fraction, barely enough to see through with one eye. The porch is empty. Nobody there. They're gone.
Without a sound.
Without a sound of them leaving. Just vanished into the night again. He doesn't wait, doesn't grab anything but his keys. Sprints out the door, jumps in his car, and just gets out of there. Drives down that long, dark dirt road, half expecting to see them waiting. But he doesn't. He makes it out. He still has no idea what that was. A group of people sneaking around, draining his generator, standing there watching him, and then just leaving. It makes absolutely no sense. He says he hasn't been back to the cabin since. Wouldn't blame him.
No kidding. The terror isn't just the presence, it's the utter lack of explanation. The violation, the stalking, the deliberate creation of fear with no apparent goal. That leaves a permanent mark.
So looking at these 3 stories together, the Stormcaller, the House Invader, these Watchers in the Woods, what threads connect them? What are we seeing here? Well, obviously the power outage is key, right? That sudden disruption of safety, the vulnerability that comes with isolation, whether in your own home or deep in the wilderness, and this presence of silent, unknown figures, watchers, and the psychological impact that lasts long after they're gone.
Exactly. And it really makes you ask, why is the loss of power such a powerful catalyst for these kinds of terrifying experiences? Maybe it really does strip away those modern comforts, those layers of security we take for granted, forcing us back into a more primal, hyper-aware state, confronting deep-seated fears. Or maybe it's simpler. Maybe darkness just provides the perfect cover for people with truly sinister intentions.
Right. Could be either or both.
And in all these accounts, it's the lack of a clear motive, the lack of resolution, that makes them so profoundly unsettling. The ambiguity is almost the point. It leaves you with this lasting sense of unease because you can't explain it, can't neatly file it away.
Yeah, these stories are definitely a stark reminder of how fragile that sense of security really is. You think you're safe at home, or you seek out solitude, but sometimes ordinary things, a storm, being alone, can somehow open a door to something genuinely terrifying and inexplicable.
It suggests sometimes the deepest horror isn't about a direct attack, but about being observed, about your safe space being infiltrated by something that operates outside rational understanding.
Well, we hope sharing these accounts has given you maybe a chilling glimpse into that side of the unknown. A reminder that the biggest horror sometimes isn't what you see, but what you can't explain. Thank you for joining us for these stories tonight. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs, if you want to hear more explorations of unsettling topics like these. Until next time, stay curious. And maybe, keep an extra candle handy, just in case.